Hello everybody, my name is Tyler and I am back yet again with another episode of Shapes.io. As you can see, it's been a little bit since I played this save file, but I did play a little bit on another one and I actually started over just to see if I could do anything else efficiency-wise. I've got a couple ideas for how I can further condense things, but right now, let's go ahead and just check to make sure that we are still delivering these boys, which we are. So it looks like we're doing about 4 every second, which is not bad, so we'll get there after a little bit. Go ahead and switch this back on over. Alright, so I think the goal for today's video is gonna be trying to make even more of the bonus shapes so we can keep on upgrading our current systems. So we've got I say that one at least I can say looks kind of like the sun at the top right over here. And so we've got that one, and then we've also got the purple square with the white circle. So go ahead and take a look over, I think maybe this is always going to be the fun part about coming back to the factory after a little bit, is figuring out where actually everything is located. As you can see right now, we're making more than enough white circles, so if we wanted, we have two options. We can either completely reset up everything and then just have like its own dedicated 3 colors just for making the white dye and then making the white circles, or since we're actually already making purple dye over here too, we could split off our white circles, our purple dye, and just grab some squares, which happen to be close by, even though they're in kind of bad positions since I haphazardly just went straight through them, but nothing that we can't work around, especially with the chains. So we've got 2 possible sources for the purple dye because right now we're making more than enough for our circles, and we're making more than enough for the dye over here. But I think since we might want to upgrade how many purple circles we're making, so if that's the case, even though we probably can't really do too much with upgrading the white circles because that's not where our issues are coming from, it's our blue parts over here. I think what we'll do is go ahead and just steal off from this one, especially since we can always just upgrade these later. So let's go ahead and get started then. So we just need to make sure we grab ourselves some purple squares, and I'm going to go ahead and just pull off of here. Completely mess up the way I place this. Go. Go and just start pulling you from here. So we need to grab that. And I think we can probably just set up our purple square production somewhere right over here. We'll go ahead and bring that down a little bit. And in order to dye, we're just going to need to keep doing what we have been doing. Bring you down. And now that these have joined here, we can follow along with our normal stuff that we've been doing. Oh no, wait, hold on. We need to have pure production on top as normal. Make sure that I'm going to follow the same flow that I've been following. And we make sure that our connections are set up just right. And there we go. Go ahead and just bring that up here. Bring it onto the other side, and we probably shouldn't need too many. At least just to start out. Hopefully we won't end up running through all of our purple dye and making the system worse, but we can at least build on a little bit more before we get blocked over here. So go ahead and do that. Like I said, you've seen this all before, so luckily it is pretty easy just to keep setting up. Which, as I've also mentioned, I really enjoy about this game because there's just so many things you can do, and I like that it's just simple enough where really your own planning is what determines how far you can get. Being someone who really enjoys planning these types of projects, it ends up working out pretty well for me. Most of the time. Sometimes I just create some god-awful contraptions, obviously, but, you know, who doesn't every now and again? Toggle that to bring back our white circle. And it's interesting because it goes back to the very beginning where it's like, hey, you may want to keep your you want to try and avoid deleting factories because you're always going to need something from somewhere else. So like, since I already have these white circles being made, I don't have to completely remake everything. All I would have to do is just expand how many I can make per second, and as long as we balance everything right, we shouldn't have to worry about it. I think I'll do that to that. Go ahead and connect you up. That was a mistake right there. That's okay, because we will just do that. And then bring those two together. Now all we should need to do is just merge them, right? Yep. And we need the white circle to be on top. So for our compactor, it needs to, is going to take our base shape, put the new shape on top of it, and then put out the output. And luckily, because I designed it right, there we go. Made sure everything was lined up properly, and we can go ahead and just pull off of that. And as you see, there's very minimal space between everything, but I think my plan's going to be, once I can complete this one, I might do a little bit of redesigning to see if we can just make it as compact as possible. That might be something good for another save file though, just so that way I can kind of keep everything on here and then, like I said, really just see how far I can push the collapsing. Now I will say, one downside so far, I guess actually if you wanted you could save, because you in the main menu you can actually like save files to transfer to another system. So if I wanted, I could just remake the save file, and then since I have a bunch of the stuff unlocked, I could actually just pretty much start from scratch, but with all of the things that I would possibly want to use for the time being. So that might also be something to look forward to in the future, if anyone ends up being interested in seeing just how far we can push a game like this. Feel free to let me know in the comments below. I would be glad to take the time to do that. I will never refuse a chance to mess around with how games actually work and seeing how far we can push it. And now that we've got those together, we'll go ahead and do, and since there we go. And since we shouldn't be making too many, we should be able to just go ahead and saturate the belt. And I'm just going to watch this just to make sure that we don't end up running out of what we need. Let's see here. As you see, our purple is very quickly diminished, so we might need to expand upon that and just build off even more. Now, as you see, with the way that I have this set up, I am already running into the issue where I'm not going to be able to build this out too much this way, because then I'll run into this production line, and then we'll have to do a bunch of other weird stuff. But like this block right here is just very nice because there's no empty space whatsoever, and there's just something about that where it's like I really love that I can eventually, as long as I'm working for it, I can end up doing stuff like that. But yeah, so you'll see that we're already running low on production, not because we're running out of white dye, but because we're running out of purple dye. So that means we need to either provide this with its own, or we need to be producing more over here. Which I think we should go ahead and start producing more over here. So I think the best way for us to do that is we're going to just go ahead and pull off these lines over here. Then we're going to go ahead and bring our blue back. And we're going to just go ahead and set up the same production line down here. So we need 1, 2. I think maybe this should work. And there we go. So now we'll just be pulling still from this main belt, and we can just do the same setup that we had before. So like that. And I think if I do this right, I can just pull things up and then run it through over here and combine it back onto this main belt. But we will see once we design a couple more of these. Because what we're gonna want is go up like that. Yeah, so go 1. And there we go. Now we do that. And like I said, so here in a couple moments we'll actually end up having the next one. And now our extractors are also going to start being faster, which I'm definitely not going to complain about. The one thing I also really enjoy is that it seems like with every tier we get a new one to make, so there's always going to be new shapes. From starting my own playthroughs, I do believe that these are always going to be the same shapes, so if you memorize it, you can actually always just get started immediately on working on it. So while you're waiting for other things to upgrade or other stuff to get done, you might be able to find a good way to use your time. So if that's the case, then there's a really good potential for possibly like speedrunning a game like this, which I would also be really interested to see, because it really is going to take a lot of the what's the best possible way you can do X setup for making things as fast as possible. Now, I'm not 100% sure if there's actually a max level, because obviously right now we're at level 12. I don't know if that stops at all, because I haven't played much further past this point. So I would be interested, however, I'm not 100% sure why there would be a max level, but we will see. I was like, forgetting, this is in 1.0, but there's still a bunch of work being done. I've seen constant updates, like every day, every few days, I think. So the developers at least trying to get even more content in here, and that's really impressive because there's a lot going on right now. So if you've been watching this, if you have been interested, I would recommend picking it up. It's only, I thought you said, I think like $4. So always support games like you actually enjoy, and who knows, maybe you'll actually enjoy playing this more than watching it, and you'll get the opportunity to make some of your own stuff. And if you do, like I said, you can always share what you make, and I'll always be interested to see what else can possibly be done with this. I think there's still just a lot of potential for it. And there we go. So now I added on that. Now you'll see, here's the one issue that I run into, because I do need to rely on saturation of intermediate products before anything else, because since this is splitting off 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and then coming over here, you'll notice that even if this is moving fast, this isn't actually producing a lot over here because it's constantly getting used. However, because I have saturated this belt, we may be able to get away with it, because you'll notice that these are going to constantly be making stuff. Oh, there we go. So, you know, copy and paste, which is good, and then pasting that free. You produce blueprint shapes to afford it. So, like, actually, that reminds me. So they did an update where if we decided to pin something, say like we pinned this goal, once this actually gets achieved and we end up getting that next upgrade, it'll actually move on to the next part. It'll actually update the number needed. So got that going on. Yeah, so, and I think from the copying, I think it requires these shapes specifically. So let's see if we wanted to just copy this right here. Yep. Okay, so it just requires those shapes, and it's actually pretty good. Like, it would make sense for it to not be just a lot of a lot of cost up front, just because if you want to replicate like larger parts of your base, obviously it's going to go up more, but just being able to do like simple things like this is much nicer than having to constantly create more and more. And as you'll notice, our purple is already backed up because we can only make so many of the purple squares, so that's pretty good. However, our white circles are getting a little backed up, so let's say we do this number. Into that. So I think we want to copy here to here. Go that, that. Now all we would need to do we can split it like this. Oh, hold on. We need to make sure I'm not blocking. There we go. And any extras, just back over here. We can get rid of that. And there we go. Make sure we connect up that. Yeah, so that's pretty nice, because I wonder if storage for shapes will actually end up being important anywhere else. But, okay, and see, now run into the thing where we need more white dye. But, ooh, okay, so, oh, okay, I wonder if that means we'll get, like, faster splitters and stuff like that, because the tunnel, I bet you, when we can upgrade it, you go further distances. Okay. See, I see the distance in this. I don't think I actually paid attention to that after I unlocked the clipboard for the other playthrough, but yeah, that's great. Okay. So go ahead and copy maybe this right. We'll copy you. Go like that. That, and like that. And there we go. And that'll start building up there. And all we gotta do is not do that. What I'm gonna do is bring it around and just merge it back onto our main line. There we go. And the cycle continues because now we'll need the purple to go more, which hopefully this should be able to match that production. We just need to make the red saturated, but in order to make the red saturated, we would need to probably redesign a little bit more because we need to carry more red dye off into this specific line, which will obviously be a little bit annoying because we've decided to split it so many times in a single line, but that's a problem for the future. Yeah, because you'll see that it's doing the same thing where it's like, even though we're producing a lot of purple, it's just getting split up so many times that by the time it gets over here, we're not particularly making a lot, but it's just enough for right now that our white circles are going to start backing up. Which, I guess if our white circles back up, our purple should back up too. Let's see. This doesn't actually tell us how many of the dyes that we're making, but that's okay. And see, I think that's the other part about this, is that this really does end up going back into the factorial line of thinking, where it's like changes down the line can take a few moments to actually catch up to the front of the line. So as you see, we're already catching up on Y dye here because our circles have backed up now because we're producing plenty of those to make and we're not using as many for this over here, which would then mean that we are, like I said, we should hopefully catch back up on our purple production. As you'll notice that here it's slowly but surely backing up every like 5 to 10 seconds or so. Because it'll take this to get back all the way up, and once this backs up all the way... Oh. I think that would be weird. There we go. Okay, so now that is catching up, and that should be good. And Actually, give me a moment. I will be right back. It'll be just a second for you, but it'll be a little bit longer for me. Alright, and I am back. I just had to take care of the package that was delivered because I've been having internet issues, so hopefully hopefully what I got will try and fix that. So let's get back on into it. Alright, so like I said, so this should, well, now that I connected this, it resets some of the progress, but it should hopefully back up. Yeah, because you'll see that this will get there, and then... Oh, I must have messed up a couple things over there. Okay, well... But hopefully with everything working together, everything should just back up properly. But let's see if we can get more red onto this line. Because obviously the best way would be making sure that we have faster distributors to belts and tunnels. However, that's going to take a bit. So see if maybe we can do something. I think our best bet is go ahead and take our blue, cut that out, go like that, and build some attractors to maybe just have it go ahead and go directly on into here. And there we go. So now that should hopefully just be an easy fix, and hopefully with this putting so much on there. Yep, and as you see, we very quickly are backing up on this already. So that way we'll have plenty of red for here. And if we wanted, we could even just not split off from here anymore and just switch it fully to this red since we don't really need the production from both now, but since we already have it set up like this, let's just go ahead and keep it like that. And I think maybe what we can do is come over here, go like that, and we'll just have a couple of extractors going into just this one. And now we should have plenty of blue for over here too. And there you go. See, we've already caught back up. So that'll mean we're producing plenty of purple dye, all of our basic dyes, our white dye as well. And we'll just need to have belts slowly get themselves into saturation. Because as you see, we're already starting to back up over here, and as long as this gets backed up, this should back up even more. Like I said, the changes down the line will help change up the line, and ends up being pretty useful for us. Alright, so see how many we deliver in a minute. 230. So if we round that to 250, that'd be 1,000 every 4 minutes, 12,000. So obviously 48 minutes is quite a bit of time. So if we don't want to wait on that, we can end up trying to make even more. Like since we've got 2 production lines of that, maybe we can make another production line of just these ones, because obviously we got plenty of white circles. But again, stuff like that in games like this always just come down to taste. It depends on how much time you want to put into it, because if you want, I could just leave it like this, and I can just go ahead and focus on another shape since we've got 2 more to work with. Or I could try and make some of our previous shape production better. It just all depends. Because obviously right now, because I feel like these might be actually making purple squares faster than it's getting the purple dye, and as you see, purple dye is not really a problem. We just aren't getting it over here fast enough. So if we want, let's go ahead and just stop this from coming over here. Instead, bring it over like that. And we'll make use of our tunnels since everything's 2 spots away. Oh, sorry, I was just playing something else where you drag right click to move as opposed to left click, and obviously that made it so I just deleted a bunch of stuff. But now, go like that, and we can okay, well, that fixed that problem, but now it's not saturated enough over here. So let's go ahead and just stop that and instead go like that, and we'll just split it off maybe here instead. So that way we're only splitting it once over here to then split down the line, as opposed to providing the entire line split down from somewhere else. So yeah, there we go. So now both are backed up. No wonder. So it does 24 items a second, which I'm not 100% sure about what that means. I don't know if that's because a conveyor belt does 12 items a second, so it does like 1, 2, 3, like 12 a second, maybe. So maybe like each line does 12 a second, so thus it does 24 a second total. So it's probably easier to saturate a belt by having multiple separated off, as opposed to doing anything where it's just one belt but with many just constantly splitting. But okay, well, I think that this is going to be a good spot to cut it. In the next episode, I will probably take the time to just expand a little bit more for this shape and hopefully get that production up quicker, or we'll either switch on over to another shape and give us something else to do in the meantime while we're working towards the next goal. As you've already noticed after just a couple episodes of this, the first few levels go by very quickly, and now we're getting on to some of the slower bits, but hopefully you enjoyed watching. If you have, feel free to like the video if you liked it, leave a comment below, leave in any feedback, anything like that, and feel free to subscribe for whenever I send out more content in the future. Thank you very much for watching this far if you have, and I will see you next time.